What's up, Taiwan? I'm Yvonne Young with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. It's been 3 years since Taiwan's anti-stalking law took effect, but victims' advocates say some people are still living in fear. They say the law needs updating to close gaps that leave people exposed. Now, one lawmaker says she has a plan. John Van Trieste reports.
跟骚立法3周年，保护还要更完善，保护还要更完善。
Ms. A's life is derailed. For 2 years, she's been followed and threatened by a coworker whose advances she rejected. Her stalkers spread her personal information online and even broken into her house. Taiwan's anti-stalking law hasn't stopped the harassment. Despite a written warning from police and a court-issued protection order, she lives in hiding. And even here, giving pre-recorded testimony today, with her voice changed, she appears with a mask, sunglasses, and a low hat to guard her privacy.
法律到底是保护被害者还是保护加害者呢？我觉得是保护加害者。
It's now exactly 3 years since the Stalking and Harassment Prevention Act took effect, and victims' advocates say it's helped close to 9,000 victims get help from police. But the question of how many cases like Ms. A's remain, undetected or just brushed off, is something that concerns them. One issue, from a lawyer's view, is that the law says the crime must be, quote, sexual or gender-related, conflating two issues and opening a loophole some only realize is there when they try to report stalking behavior.
我们之前曾经遇过非常多人哦，他去到警察局跟警察说，指责他说他一直跟着我。警察告诉他说，抱歉，我们没有办法处理这个问题，这个行为也不是性骚扰，跟着你也不是性骚扰。
But there's at least one chance to close those loopholes and offer more effective protection to stalking victims. Lawmaker Fan Yun says she's drawing up a bill to do just that. She says it will have the government rethink the need for a sexual harassment threshold so no one is left behind. And there's more.
第一点，跟骚也要有紧急保护令；第二点，跟骚受害者的资料需要保护；第三，加害人要接受教育辅导。 以上这3个诉求，家暴法都可以做到，所以跟骚法也应该要修法做到。
From Ms. A to lawmaker Fan Yun to the lawyer and the activists here today, the hope is the same: making sure a 3-year-old law succeeds in its original mission to get justice for people who would otherwise have their lives destroyed. Alex Chen and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Lawmakers are cracking down on workplace bullying in government offices with changes to the law protecting civil servants from mistreatment. It comes after the suicide of a civil servant last year, a death that shocked the country. The amended law provides definitions of bullying, and it outlines hefty fines for senior officials who either bully their staff or fail to stop bullying if they know it's going on. The fines are now as high as $34,000. The amendments will take effect 6 months after they are formally announced. New Taipei prosecutors have indicted 31 people for forging names on lawmaker recall petitions. The campaigns targeted legislators from the ruling Democratic Progressive Party. All 3 failed to progress to a public vote. Prosecutors say the suspect faked over 2,500 signatures on their petitions. The U.S. House of Representatives has unanimously passed a bill supporting Taiwan's inclusion in the International Monetary Fund. The bill, called the Taiwan Non-Discrimination Act, asks the U.S. to advocate Taiwan's participation in the financial organization. Representative Yang Kim, who sponsored the bill, says IMF membership would help Taiwan strengthen its financial resilience and resist China's economic coercion. The bill still needs Senate approval before it can be signed into law by the president. Hope for peace in the Middle East? U.S. President Donald Trump is claiming that all sides in the recent conflict between the U.S., Israel, and Iran agree to a ceasefire. But as missiles continue to fly, the state of that ceasefire remains far from certain. Chris Gorin reports.
The moment an Iranian missile strikes an apartment building in southern Israel. It left at least 6 dead and 15 injured. It was one of a series of missile exchanges between Iran and Israel before the two sides appeared to agree to a short-lived ceasefire. The previous night, Iran launched missiles at the U.S. military. The Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, one of the largest U.S. bases in the region, was the target. Iran says it's retaliation for the U.S. joining Israel's strikes on its nuclear facilities on Sunday. U.S. officials report 13 out of 14 missiles were intercepted, and no injuries were reported. Qatar condemned the attack.
The state of Qatar condemns in the strongest terms the Iranian missile attack on the Qatari Al Udeid Air Base. This attack represents a flagrant violation of Qatar's sovereignty and contravenes the principles of good neighborliness.
U.S. President Donald Trump downplayed the attack, however, even thanking Iran for warning the U.S. before the strikes, later saying that Israel and Iran had agreed to a ceasefire to be implemented within 24 hours. But Iran seemed to dispute Trump's claim. Its foreign minister, currently in Moscow for talks with Russia, said that no ceasefire was agreed to, but left open the possibility of one if Israel ceases its attacks. Some in Iran celebrated the attack on the U.S. and called for more.
We aren't satisfied with the number of missiles fired. It was too few. We want the Iranian armed forces to fire many more. All the Americans in the Middle East, all their military personnel should be sent back in coffins. And in my opinion, it was far too few.
While the ceasefire appeared to be holding by the afternoon, just hours later, Israel said Iran launched new strikes, breaking the deal, which Iran denies. But with both sides pointing the finger, the fate of the fragile ceasefire is in question, while the region braces for what's next. Patrick Chun and Chris Gorin for TaiwanPlus.
A top domestic think tank says Taiwan's business climate declined in May. The Taiwan Institute of Economics Research says global uncertainties, including energy, are weighing on the country's major industries.
只要霍姆兹海峡没有封起来，没有封起来，其实对原油的影响就没有那么大。包括卡达的天然气啦，包括伊朗啊、阿曼啊，他们的那些油就可以运出来。
Indicators for the manufacturing sector have fallen for 4 straight months to a 2-year low. The services and construction sectors also continue to decline. Domestic consumption faced challenges as well, with weak housing and auto markets. Lawmakers have passed a draft amendment meant to change the name and target groups of priority seats on public transportation. Irene Lin has the story.
Here at Taipei Metro train, you will see the sign that says passengers should yield the seat to the elderly, pregnant, disabled, and those who travel with babies and children. But that may be about to change.
Taiwan's legislature has passed a draft amendment that aims to remove the specific references to the elderly, women, and children on metros, buses, and trains in the law. The goal is to be more inclusive, recognizing the needs of people with disabilities and anyone who may have invisible discomfort or illnesses. The amendment also proposes changing its Chinese name to a more inclusive term to match with its English translation. The original name, Bo'ai, translates to benevolence and stems from a core philosophy in Chinese history. It's meant to promote universal love and care for one another. While the name and its target groups was well intended, they were often twisted by passengers to use against each other. Footage of conflicts erupting on public transport commonly circulates online. Often they involve debate over who should be prioritized and whether some people should occupy the seats. Many passengers do yield these seats when they see someone in need, but too often the signs of someone in need are unclear.
就是有坐在优先座的人，就是他应该就是有需要坐在那个位置，所以我不会判定说他的身体状况好不好，或他的年纪大或小，然后可不可以坐那个位置。
Some think it's people's behavior that needs to change.
其实我觉得都一样因为博爱座就是给那个老弱妇孺或是受伤的人坐的，你优先坐的话，现在很多年轻人基本上想坐就坐了，他也不会让座，只顾着看手机、滑手机什么的。
But for groups who fight for disability rights, it's still a symbolic improvement.
反而是一些比较隐性的障碍，比如说因为洗肾或是癌症、体能衰退这个部分，那大家可能反而不知道要怎么让，因此改成优先洗，我觉得是一个很好的做法，让有需要的人能够提出来，不见只是身心障碍者而已。所以希望大家能够在政府的宣导之下，多了解说博爱座它是一个互相帮忙、互相体谅的设置，而不是说给某些人的保留座。
The amendment is still going through the legislature. If it's passed, lawmakers say the Transportation Ministry should standardize the signage on all public transportation.
While lawmakers are working to rebrand priority seats, allowing more people to enjoy the service, the ultimate goal is for everyone using public transit to be more kind to each other and to share the space in peace. Joseph Wu and Irene Lin in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
In northern Taiwan, a beauty pageant is turning factory workers and teachers into kings and queens. By bringing a Filipino tradition to Taiwan, the event cast the spotlight on migrant workers who are often overlooked. Gino Lopez reports.
Face powder, false lashes, and last-minute prayers. This stage in Taoyuan feels more like Manila on Coronation Day. But every king and queen here is a Filipino migrant working in Taiwan. They stand back up, literally, after every slip. Among them is 28-year-old English teacher Malaya. Today, she's trading in her lesson plan for sequin dresses and heels. She wants to inspire more people to be more compassionate, just as she has been, even amid the difficulties she has faced.
I have experienced discrimination because of my nationality, but I didn't let it weigh me down. I focus on my goals and I just do my job and prove them that I am capable, even if I am a Filipino.
Across the room is 35-year-old electronics engineer McCoy. Unlike many of the other contestants, he's getting ready all by himself. After 3 tireless years on the factory floor, today's runway is his break from the circuit boards.
Yun, ang gusto ko po ipakita dito ay kahit na busy tayo sa trabaho.
I want to show that even if we are busy with work, we have to learn how to balance our life so that we can further grow and become more productive, not only in work, but also in life as a whole.
Ginoo at Binibining Taiwan is a homegrown pageant staged by migrant workers themselves, one of many organized by Filipinos living abroad. But here, kings and queens share the same runway, making it one of the first mixed-gender competitions held in Taiwan. Contestants face off in themed costume rounds, production, casual, and summer wear. Organizers say the real headline isn't beauty, it's the chance to build community and stand together far from home.
Gusto ko magkaroon tayo ng unity sa pamamagitan na to is
I want us to have unity through this event, to get together and to be with each other. Through this, we can learn more about what each one of us goes through, what sacrifices we have made being far from family, and get some idea of what each of our stories are.
It's not just contestants coming together. Members of the Filipino community from all over Taiwan have filled the venue to cheer for their favorites. Solidarity also raises funds. Ticket sales support a shelter for elderly and special needs children in the Philippines. Community leaders serve as judges and say the pageant builds pride as much as it shows off style.
Back in the Philippines, people love pageant. You know, they love to showcase their talents, the Filipino cultural heritage through the costumes they're donning, or I think it's more of like adding confidence.
Malaya and McCoy may not have won this time, but they say that just taking part in the pageant is already an accomplishment. For these contestants, winning isn't just about the sash or the crown. It's about the space they've created to build each other's self-confidence and foster a tight-knit community. Hang Shu, David Santos, and Gino Lopez for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, check out this performance at one of the world's most iconic theaters in Athens before it closes for restoration. I'm Yvonne Yang. Take care, and I'll see you next time.